Okay, this is a quick 5-minute foot routine that you can do anywhere pretty much on a soft surface. It's a really nice thing to throw in when you're hiking and camping. If you've got grass around you, you can do it on carpet, you can do it on a yoga mat. Soft surfaces are going to be a little bit more forgiving in this routine, so just keep that in mind. But I guess you could progress to doing it on a hard floor over time. We're going to start in this crouch squat position. So we've got about 60 degrees bent in that first metatarsal on the toes. You can stay there or you can come right up onto the toes like I am here. That'll have the toes at about 90-degree bend under load, which could be pretty rough. So just find a comfy spot there. And from here, just use your hands on the floor to just control that lowering portion where we're dropping the knees down to the ground. And we're just going to do 3 or 4 reps there, just really trying to gently tap the knees on the ground and then come back up to a comfortable spot. And then we're just going to rest in this typical Seiza position, this classic martial art position, and just rest there and try and get comfy. If you're struggling to get comfortable there, or you just want to move around a little bit, you can press through your big toes and all of the toes and lift your hips up off your feet and then slowly lower them back down. So we're kind of in this hinging motion here where we're just shifting the hips back behind us and slowly coming back up to hip extension. And we just go back and forth there a few times, and just note that as you come out of that position, you want to press through the toes. So we actually are using the toes. We can do that in a single leg variation now with the left foot back and the right foot forward. So you're just kind of driving that front knee over your toe and then sinking your hips back onto that left heel. So you really want to press out of that position and loading the toes and the plantar fascia there. And then we can switch to the other side, left foot forward, right foot back. And so we're just slowly under control, sinking the hips back into that hinge motion where the butt is reaching the toes. And we'll just do a couple of reps there. Okay, now we'll just play around with the ground with a bit of a crawling variation. So this is kind of like a duck walk. We are going to be rolling over the toes. So you're going to need a good amount of flexion in the toes to do this. You can build up to it by just keeping one hand on the ground for a little bit of support and balance. And if you want to progress that even further, you can do it with a sweeping leg with support at first. So one hand on the ground, one leg sweeps around, and then you slowly transition through on top of getting the hip on top of the heel and then sweeping through with the other leg. But if that's a little bit tricky, you can revert back to this duck walk with a little bit of support, a little bit of balance. Both are excellent. Both are really good for getting a lot of movement through the foot and the toes and the ankles and loading the knees a little bit. And these are fun, so we'll do one more set. Over time, you can be a little bit slower, more control, a little stricter. You can take the hands off the ground there and really try and make it as nice and controlled and flowy as you can. That's going to signify that you're making some progress in this routine and starting to build some strength and control through the foot in lots of different fun positions. But if you're just working on that for the meantime, you can stick with the duck walk. Basically get it done any way you can. Just don't freak out if you can't do it. This is a little bit of fun to check in with how your foot is moving. If you're working on your foot over time, you should be able to be more comfortable in this stuff. From here, we're going to balance on top of that right foot. So this can be a really tricky move as well. The butt is just resting on top of the heels. We're at about a 90-degree bend in the toes, which can be a little bit rough on the toes if you don't have the mobility. So if you're getting a really jammy joint sensation in this move or any of these moves, just know that you've got to work on freeing your toes up a little bit more before you're comfortable doing that stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So to finish off this routine, we are just going to do some scrunch and splay. Scrunch meaning that you're basically doing an ab crunch with your foot, and then splay meaning that you're pulling the toes all the way back. So just move back and forth from these positions. I want you to hold for about 5 seconds as you scrunch. Think about curling all the toes over, and then do the opposite. Bring the ankle back into dorsiflexion, spread the toes wide as far as you can, and really try and get some space between each of those toes. We're really trying to create some distance and use all those muscles in the foot to try and spread out the toes there, and then doing the opposite, trying to close all that space. Think about it like an ab crunch for the foot. We're really curling the toes over as much as possible there. So we'll switch legs. We are holding for about 5 seconds in that crunch, so really put some effort in. You might feel some cramping sensations there. It might kind of get that plantar fascia really warm, but just squeeze as you scrunch, and then once you've held for a couple of seconds, just relax, spread the toes and bring the foot back towards your face. And so we're just working back and forth between those 2 points. And some conscious intention on really squeezing those tissues can really help here. So that is pretty much it for this routine. That's a nice quick 5-minute routine. You can throw this in really daily, or whenever you feel like your foot needs a little bit of movement. I think these kinds of movements will contribute a lot to improving how your foot moves, thus improving how the rest of your body moves. If you know that your feet and toes and ankles need a little bit of work and you want a resource for that, check out Mountain Proof Ankles. That is my program for hikers that want to work on their feet and understand them a little bit more. You can check that out in the first link in the description. And if you like this routine and you want to see more of them, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more just like this, and I will see you on the summits.